Hello, how are we all? It's a very quick start to the stream. Sleepy, yeah. Yeah, I had originally planned for this stream to be 4 hours beforehand, but then the missus ended up picking up a shift at work, so we had to sort the kids out for school. Because today is my day off from work. I don't know what's going on with the live chat. I had to refresh the page just so I could see if the stream was running. The YouTube control view, and half the messages disappeared, but I can see Chase's message there. You got a 24-hour Spectrum ban for bringing this up. CIG is deleting posts and handing out suspensions, so we can't even talk in chat. It's not the first time that CIG has done that sort of thing. Oh, it was a couple of years ago. Who was it? The Infographics Show made a video about Star Citizen. I think it was only like $300 million at the time. And pretty much saying how the game was never going to come out. Is that grease fingerprints on your headphones? Hell yeah, bro. I have no idea. Possibly. Are they showing up on the light? Yep. Yeah, with regards to Spectrum, like, it's CIG's platform, so they're not going to, like, they can control whatever they want there. And getting into an argument over what you post there is kind of pointless, because it's their platform. It's like going into somebody's house and then trying to, you know, tell them what they can and can't do in their own house. Why did I have to add Morph's video? It would have been a Nelson recommended only episode. It almost was, actually. But then I saw Morph's video and I was like, I actually want to comment on this. Derek, could we expect more videos from your org when 320 comes our way? Maybe. Part of the problem that we've got, I've explained this a few times, with Piracy, since 318 it's been simplified to the point where all the hits are blending into each other now. Like, trying to find hits where it's unique enough to even make a video about is getting more difficult. Like, we could do the same types of videos that everybody else does where, you know, like, it's got a whole bunch of narration and we're talking about piracy as a concept and things like that, but we do that here and during the stream. So I don't see the point. But yeah, the skill ceiling for piracy is so low, and it's one of those things where it's like the videos just aren't that entertaining. That said, like, I am working on videos for 319. It's just, yeah, like, the hit itself is the quickest part, and then we spend the majority of the time moving boxes. No worries, Nelson. Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, until piracy becomes a bit more interesting, the volume of content that we'll be putting out is going to be a lot lower. Hello, Telva. So why so late on the stream? The missus picked up work shift, so the time that I actually had scheduled for the stream ended up needing to be pushed back so I could take the kids to school and daycare. What's the deal with this career gear pack stuff? Alright, well I think we can use this as the opportunity to segue into this. We've got quite a few people here. So, I kind of forgot about this, but Morph had actually put out a video. It would be about a day ago now. And essentially what CIG has done is for the Foundation Festival, which is supposed to, you know, bring in new players into the game, CIG has added a whole bunch of armor packs, you know, armor and weapons, and they've geared them, or orientated their marketing towards, you know, like this is what you would use if you're a salvager or a medic or a miner or, you know, FPS and things like that. And I want to watch Morph's video because I got about halfway through it. I'm like, this is actually something, you know, really worth talking about and something that CIG needs to be called out on. Because I personally think, you know, like if you looked at the thumbnail, I think it's scummy marketing. I think it's a scummy marketing tactic. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the reaction scene and we're going to watch Morph's video and get his take on it, and I'll do my little commentary thing along the way.
So I was browsing the website for the new Foundation Festival that's going on right now, which is a free fly event that gets veteran players involved, helping out new players for some in-game rewards, and I found this little gem buried in the sale page for the event. It's called the Ready for Anything Career Kit, and it's on sale for $10. And it's all personal item gear, not a ship, just stuff that your player wears. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. Now, if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm generally very positive about CIG. Contrary to what some of the super white knights in the community might say, the majority of the videos that I've made here on this channel are pretty positive about Star Citizen and CIG because I genuinely love the project and I want to see it succeed. But when there's a problem, I have the philosophy of calling it out because you can't get better from people constantly telling you you're amazing. Everybody makes mistakes, and in my opinion, this is one of the worst that they've made in recent history. And let me explain to you why. Now, yes, they've sold a lot of things on the website, and they're...
So, this set here, you could buy in-game. Like, all the pieces that you see here, you could pick up in-game. They're not all at the same place, but the majority of them, like, if you know where to look, you'll find them. But this is supposed to be the new player pack. I'm just going to scrub back through the video, see if I can find the image. Here it is. So this is a Ready for Anything career kit. Now, if you've been playing Star Citizen for ages, you know where to get all of this kit. Like, you know where to go in game to find all this. This isn't aimed at experienced players. This is aimed at new players. And here's the kicker, and we all know it. If you've been playing Star Citizen, you know it. If you lose this gear, you can't get it back until the next wipe. You can't do like a character reset or anything like that anymore now. Once you've died with this kit on, it's gone. Now the thing is like, you can just rebuy all this stuff in game. And for credits that it costs, it's really fucking cheap. But this is real money that people are paying for items that they can't get back within a reasonable amount of time. And that's what I don't like about this particular thing. We're going to keep watching what Morph has to say though. And I think everybody is pretty much on the same page here who's been, you know, tracking Star Citizen. There's a few other comments that I want to make about it too. I think we're about here.
Transactions, ships that can cost upwards of $2,500 US, and even packages that can go for $40K plus. So spending gobloads of money from anywhere from a set of armor all the way up to a massive ship is nothing new for people who are familiar with Star Citizen. So then you might ask, why on earth would you be upset about this little package for $10? This little kit to get people started. Here's what makes me upset about this. This is geared towards new players, and the way that it's written together here is marketed very much towards somebody who is excited about getting into the game and wants the chance to kind of experience a little bit of everything in their first experience with Star Citizen. The problem is that these new players aren't going to know that this type of gear, the stuff that you wear on your body, is stuff that you lose if you die, even if it's something you've paid for. Now, CIG have talked about for years how they're going to introduce some sort of system to allow you to get this stuff back. And in the interim, database resets have been how people have gotten their gear back, or by playing the CCU game where they melt their stuff and then get it back, which is really not a game mechanic, but a sort of janky workaround to fix the problem that new players are just not going to understand or care about. So then this method of getting it back in game doesn't yet exist. If players lose it, they lose it effectively for good. So what I know is inevitably going to happen with a new player buying this kit along with their starter ship is that they're going to die in the first hour or less playing the game and not really understand why this gear disappeared. And really, how can you expect new players to even know that starting off? The game is already difficult to understand, but the industry standard in general has always been that if you pay real money for stuff, you don't lose it. And in fact,
yeah, like that's a big one. Like there's been court cases and what is it, over microtransactions and things like that. And it's always ruled in favor of the customer. Like, if you're paying real money for a digital item, you shouldn't be losing it. And, like, this, the problem, and, you know, Morph hit the nail on the head, like, this is all aimed at new players, people who aren't, you know, as immersed in Star Citizen, people who aren't as immersed in, you know, the community. You know, who aren't following all the content creators, who, you know, don't have organizations and, you know, Discords and Reddits to go to just ask these sorts of questions. They'll see this and they'll be like, oh, I can pick that up. You know, that'll come in really handy. And then they die. And then they're like, all right, well, at least I got my kit still. And then they go to find it like, what the fuck? Where's my kit? Pay $10 for this? And somebody in the community trying to be helpful will go, oh yeah, you can't get that back anymore, but there is a way. If you go to the store, you melt the package and then you rebuy that stuff through the store, you should be able to get it back. And that's just plain shit. Like, this is probably one of the most tone-deaf things that I've seen CIG do since the project started. Like, all this kit that you have, like all the packages, or, you know, the different gear kits, you can buy in game, the majority of it. I think a couple of them have colors that you can't get at any of the stores. And that's about it. That's the difference, you know, the point of difference with some of them. You know, it's shit how they've orientated these, because, you know, players who have been playing Star Citizen for years know that there's not really such thing as a career kit. Whereas new people don't understand that. They're like, oh, this is what miners wear. Okay, I'll be a miner and I'll buy this kit and I'll be able to go out and do mining. And then, you know, they leave, you know, they leave their rest stop, or, you know, they finally manage to fucking leave the home port. And they go to quantum travel somewhere. They go wherever they're going to. Let's say they're a miner and a prospector. They're still trying to work out how to do mining. They find a rock. They start practicing on it. Then an AI shows up and smashes them. And then they lost all that kit. Like, well, it's not even that, Telver. The problem here is that it needs to be explicit to the, you know, consumer what will happen to this gear. And CIG really needs to set the system up so that it's, you know, damn near idiot proof that if you've bought kit for real money, you can't lose it. Like, you should always be able to get it back in one way, shape, or form, even if you have to pay a small fee. But, it's no stretch of the imagination that CIG can sit there and work out solutions to this. The problem is that they've implemented this sale and not introduced a solution to the game, which is really what should be happening here. Like, there should be an in-game solution before they even attempt to offer something like this. Well, yeah, those kits also come with certain ships, but you're still in the same position where if you die with that wearing that kit, it's gone. Like, you can actually CCU to those ships to get that kit onto, a ship, to a new ship that you've purchased. So if you want to do a CCU chain, you can buy the CCUs that will apply those bits of kit. Yeah, Telva, that's 100% that they need to do, but they haven't. And they've gone ahead with a sale first. And that's the scummy part of all of this, is that instead of CIG, doing right by their community, because fucking this project wouldn't exist without the fucking community backing it and getting it to this point. And they want to bring more people into this community. And it's like, this is a scummy marketing tactic that pushes, CIG further away from the community and makes it more like a corporate entity that just treats us like fucking cash cows and keeps trying to milk us. But tell me, they've had the FPS kits on the store, but they weren't orientated as career kits. They're not orientated towards new people. That's the thing, is like, we've got the Foundation Festival running right now, which has a free fly going. Right, so we got a whole bunch of new people in. These career kits were introduced when we've got new people coming into the game. Whereas when CIG introduced all those other kits, like, they were just added, what was it? They were added on the back of, bloody, I think it was the last IAE or Fleet Week, one of those two. But it wasn't an event where you're going to have a huge influx of new people. It was people who were in the community already looking at CCUing their ships around, and they've introduced these new bits of kit, and you can pick them up. And even then, a lot of people thought that they were going to be able to, like, reclaim this kit. If they lost it, they'd be able to get it back. And CIG didn't explain that that was not going to be the case. Like, it's a scummy marketing tactic that's going to burn a lot more bridges. And to be honest, the community should be more pissed off about this. Like, the community should be more pissed off about this than, a lot of other things that's going on with the game right now. Because the game's getting developed. Right? The game's getting developed. They've, got their money coming in. People are going to keep buying ships. But if they're getting more than enough money to be able to pay developers to be able to build features, and then they want to introduce, on their store items that you can't get back unless you use a jank workaround of melting the items and then rebuying them with store credit. For, those who are in the community and been around long enough and, fuck around with the pledge store, it's no big deal to them. For those new players, that's fucking, game breaking for them. Like, that is game breaking for them. Like, if I came into a game and it was like, oh yeah, you just bought all this stuff for real money and now you're going to lose it all. Or you lost it all and you're like, all right, I'm going to be able to get it back, and you can't. And you get told that you can't until the next wipe, which nobody knows when's going to happen. I would be pissed, and I'd be contacting customer service, and I'd be going, I want a refund. That's what I would be doing. Like, I wouldn't have a problem, and I don't think anybody in the community would have a problem with these kits being available to be on sale if you could, you know, reclaim this gear in game. You know, you die, you lose that gear, it's like, oh shit. You know, you bloody go to a terminal, that, you know, an insurance terminal, and you go, oh, I lost this kit, and then they give it back to you. If they had that, nobody would be angry. Well, the interesting part there, Stoney, is that apparently CIG is heavily moderating Spectrum right now about any discussion on this particular topic. Delver, I can tell you right now, most people don't read disclaimers. Like, the majority of people don't read disclaimers. There's so much text there, people want to get into the game, they'll be like, yep, cool. Like, honestly, you know, people have already brought it up, but the player tutorial, the starting tutorial, should be giving you a whole bunch of kit. You know, it should be part of the process as you're playing the game. You learn where to get this kit from. Yeah, like, it's part of the reason why I'm actually reacting to this video, because this is one of those things where it's like, I actually support Morphologich's point of view on this, and I don't know if there's enough other members of the community doing it. Salty Mike's probably already on this bloody reaming CIG about it too. But yeah, like, I don't like how this goes. But then again, like, there's other things that CIG do that, you know, are generous, but this, as a, you know, as a first step into the Star Citizen universe, I think is a really bad one. Let's keep watching.
In some countries, it's illegal to sell items that can be lost for real money in a video game, which is something that CIG is eventually going to have to address if they're not sued before they do. So in an ironic twist, what CIG's marketing team have actually done is created an item that's only going to create more animosity towards CIG for not just nickel and diming new players for kit that should probably just be available to anybody who takes the new player tutorial, but for the fact that they can just lose it immediately upon death, which happens again extremely frequently. I mean, who is a new player to Star Citizen hasn't flown their ship too fast in atmosphere and smashed into the ground, or accidentally fallen through an elevator, or, I don't know, gotten shot by an NPC when they didn't expect it.
Or run down a flight of stairs and died. Or buddy, had an NPC just fly into your ship, you know, and ram your ship by accident. Or accidentally get a crime stat and bloody fly too close to a security AI who just starts shooting the shit out of you. You know, or like running around on a moon like fucking Magda or something like that. The wind knocks you into a building and kills you that way. Or you run out into Ariel or Aberdeen's atmosphere wearing, you know, a basic shit suit that isn't able to handle the temperature, and you're not paying attention to the effects of your character and you just keel over. And that's the thing about this, is like, there are so many different ways that you can die in this game. It's, you know, or the most obvious one, fucking PvP kills you. Yeah, Telver, it is. NPCs ramming players is always the best, especially when the player starts throwing salt in chat. But it's like, there's so many ways that you can die in this fucking game. New players don't know. Like, they're, you know, even with the new player tutorial that CIG's attempted to introduce into the game, it's still not safe for them. You've never died in Star Citizen, Nelson? Did you not leave your hab? even then the hab is just as dangerous. You could end up in a state where your hab doesn't load in properly and you end up EVAing into the geometry and it kills you that way. Like, how shit would that be? You first start the game, you're waking up in your bed, but because your PC is a potato and you weren't paying attention to the fucking stats, but you wake up, you clip into the geometry and die. Yeah, you wouldn't lose all your kit then, but you'd lose some of it, you know, the starting stuff. But then, you know, imagine if you, you know, fucking, you log out of one session or you're 30k and you wake back up in your hab on a different server, you put all your kit on, and then you wake up in your hab and then the game bugs out, you clip into the geometry of the bed and die that way. Walking out of an airlock with no helmet. Yeah, like that's just it. There's so many people. So many people, so many ways that you can die in this game, and so many people die in the most random ways. And, you know, it's just too frequent. But still, like, if you're paying real money for something, you should be able to get it back. And CIG should have the system in place so that you can. And that's the problem here, is that CIG didn't put the system in place in-game first to make sure that players could get their kit back first. Instead, they've gone, well, let's get more money. And that's what makes this scummy. That's why I think it's scummy. If they'd introduced the mechanic first, it would have been fine. I'd have been like, well, you know, you really shouldn't be buying that sort of stuff, or, you know, like, if you want that leg up, if you don't want to have to run to a shop and buy that kit, fine, fill your boots. You know, like, once you learn enough about the game, you'll realize just how much more shit, like, how easy it is to get gear in the game. And then you'll probably end up melting that thing anyway by that stage. And then put those store credits towards a ship upgrade. But right now, like, no system in place, scumbag move. Like, CIG needs to do better. I agree with what bloody Stoney's been saying. Like, more content creators need to be on this and just calling CIG out on it and just going, holy, you know, what are you guys doing? You're going to make us, like, you know, the content creators who are trying to bring new people in, like, just the community members, like, everybody in the Star Citizen community trying to bring new people in are just going to look like fucking scumbags too. They're going to look like scumbags, you know, if these others who watch them play, or, you know, like, got invited to play with them and they've bought this stuff without consulting their friends, and then they lose it. They're going to be like, what? Why are you playing this game if you can just lose stuff that you pay real money for? Like, this just seems like a scam. I'm not going to play this game with you anymore. I'm not going to play any game with you anymore because you're an idiot. That's a position that, you know, we could potentially end up being in. Also, that what, CIG can make a few extra fucking bucks on a bloody, you know, sale. It depends on the country that you're in, Nelson. I believe in the EU it's 30 days. Some other countries it's like 14. But that's the thing, is like, you don't want to introduce somebody to the game and then them going, oh, I'm just going to refund it. Like, this is dumb. And yeah, like, CIG just needs to be, you know, they need to be held to account. Some, you know, I'm a person, so, you know, like, somebody needs to, or a group of people, you know, just the community in general needs to get together on this particular topic and go, stop making us all look like shit with these scumbag marketing tactics, because that's what you're doing. You're making us all look shit. You're making your community look like a bunch of sycophants to the rest of the fucking outside world, because, you know, people within the community would pay for this, but they also understand what's going on here. You know, the new player experience is shit. Nobody's going to bloody, you know, I'm not talking about the tutorial, I'm talking about just the new player experience in general. A lot better than what it was like 5 years ago now, but to be honest, it should be a lot better than what it is right now as well. But there's an insistence to work on 2 fucking games at once, so, you know, here we are. But yeah, like, CIG needs to focus more on how the community feels about this particular one, and it's like, look, just nobody's going to, you know, complain at CIG if they introduce this system where you can get this kit back quickly in-game without having to wait for a wipe or doing some jank workaround on the pledge store. Alright, let's finish this video.
I mean, anybody who's played Star Citizen for like an hour will know that Star Citizen is very volatile to the new player, and death is extremely likely if not guaranteed. So this has got me thinking that whoever's responsible for this, the ideas, maybe it was marketing, has no idea what's going on, and it's to the detriment of the game. So if you want Star Citizen to succeed, this is definitely something that I think shouldn't be supported. At least not until there's a solution. What I think they should have done instead, which would have been a great gesture of goodwill towards new players and just people who've played the game in general, was, like I said, to add this into the new player tutorial as a reward, so that new players starting out get a little bit of everything so they can get started with some really basic kit that they're likely going to lose anyway within the first hour of play. But instead, someone over at CIG saw this as a monetization opportunity and just made things worse.
And the other thing as well, like, if you've done the new player experience tutorial, they take you to the shop and they show you, they're supposed to show you how to buy stuff, right? CIG could make those tutorial objectives. It's like, buy this helmet, buy this chest piece, buy this weapon, buy this ammo. You know, these are the processes that you need to go through to be able to acquire kit if you want to, you know, like, set yourself up for success every time you go out. Thanks for dropping in, Nelson. Catch you later, mate. And here's the thing about that is, like, you set the player up for more success by teaching them that sort of stuff, by, you know, you are empowering them, which is what developers should be aiming for. But the problem is that this wasn't developers making this decision. Developers didn't sit there and go, oh yeah, let's bloody add career kits to the bloody pledge store and, you know, charge people money for them. That wouldn't have been developers doing that. They would have been looking for the in-game solution first, because they would have been like, no, this is a pretty scummy thing to do, because they're gamers as well. And they understand how people would feel about being in a position where they lose their kit and then fucking afterwards they're like, oh, well, how do I get it back? Oh, you can't? They would be just as pissed as what we are. Which is why I say this is a scumbag marketing move. This is somebody who has no real investment in the game itself and is more concerned about making money, which is the primary job of fucking marketing. It's to sell products. And, you know, like, that's why I'm going to keep saying, like, it's a scummy marketing move and it needs to be addressed. The problem is that the people who fix this aren't the marketing team, it's the fucking developers that have to fix this now by providing the capability of being able to get your kit back, which should have been a fucking priority anyway. Well, we can't kick out the whole marketing team because, you know, they still do have to do a necessary job. It's just there needs to be an extra filter in there. You know, like, maybe the community team, the community team really should have caught this one up. Or maybe they're just, I don't know. Makes me wonder as well, because the community team should have been consulted on this. And the community team should have a better fucking, you know, finger on the pulse of how the community would feel about this sort of thing. And Well, as the point that I'm trying to make here, guys, you know, like we can keep going, you know, marketing team this and marketing team that. It's like this decision wasn't made in isolation. It wasn't made purely by the marketing team. Like, it's a scummy marketing tactic, so they came up with the idea, but there would have been enough people in the process that should have sat there and gone, this is not right. Unless we introduce this mechanic here, all we're going to do is piss people off. At the end of the day, though, like, we don't have any of the sales data, we don't have any of the refund data or anything like that, or, you know, any of the player data that tells us, you know, whether or not players are returning. Because for all we know, yeah, we're sitting here, you know, complaining about this sort of thing because we're, you know, we understand what's going on. We have a better idea of what's going on. Maybe all the new players are okay with it. Maybe they're all like, oh, well, I lost that kit. I'll get it back in the reset. Okay, I'm willing to wait that long. However long that ends up being. Who the fuck knows? CIG has a better idea on that front, but at the same time, I don't know about you guys, but I'm less inclined to introduce people to playing Star Citizen more now than ever because of these marketing tactics that I'm seeing, where they're introducing kits aimed at new players that require me to sit there and explain to them, only spend money on that if you're okay with losing that kit for an indeterminate period of time. And the only way that you can get it back is through either doing this really, you know, going onto the pledge store, melting the item, repurchasing it with store credits, or if you're willing to wait until the next wipe, which we don't know when it's going to happen. Let's finish this video off.
I really hope that CIG, before monetizing things, can also consider how it can be a goodwill gesture to improve the general gameplay experience for everybody. This was one of those times where they failed that test. If at some point in the future they do have some kind of system in game, say something like insurance, where you get your gear back for a lifetime if you've bought this gear on the website for real money, then I'll say, okay, this starter kit's fine. But for the time being, this being aimed towards new players was a really bad idea, and CIG should take this off the website right away and really seriously rethink who's making decisions over at marketing so they stop making decisions that make them look even worse. Look, I very rarely get upset about things. The last time I did, it was for a certain ship, and it got me in hot water with a portion of the community.
And it started this reactions and rants for the segment 2 on this channel. The thing of Morph getting angry about the A2 though, like, it's a fucking bomber. Yeah, I'll always maintain that stance. It's a bomber. You're supposed to fear it. If you're not, you know, playing the game right, and you don't fear certain things about the game, and you don't prepare accordingly, you wear the consequences. Learn to deal with it. But in this case, like, you know, I agree with Morph on this point, because this affects players in the game in a way that is just a negative experience overall. Like, the A2, it's a bomber. It's doing its fucking job by bombing things. If you don't want to get bombed, either don't be there or bring enough firepower to bear so that it can't bomb you. You've got the solution in your hands. But when it comes to this particular thing, like, new people, you only know what you know. So if you don't know shit from Clay and you're trying to get into Star Citizen, you're not going to know that you're going to lose that kit within an hour of gameplay, because it will fucking happen. And you're not going to know that you're not going to be able to get it back. Not unless you go through the pledge store, melt, and rebuy. Which sounds really easy to do when you say it that way, until you try and direct a new person through the process. or you wait until the next wipe, which is shit because we never know when they're going to happen. And CIG may announce a wipe, a few weeks ahead, but then you're sitting there waiting, and the kit's not really worth waiting for because you can buy it all in game anyway. Which is why, I agree with Morph on this. To be honest, he's still being a lot more tame in comparison to the A2 video, and I think it's because it's directed at CIG in a way that, attacks their funding model, which I know, when you start talking about how a company funds itself, they get a bit more protective of their, reputation and business process. Especially normally because the people who are involved in making the decisions on that normally have a lot more influence to exert as well within that company structure. So, when content creators are sitting there going, hey, stop doing scummy things, those people who are doing the scummy things can sit there and go, all right, well, we'll stop supporting you as a content creator directly with, ship giveaways and things like that, because they can do that. Didn't Morph record that in the heat of the moment? Apparently. I don't know. It's still a pretty poor take on the A2 thing. And I think he eventually came around to seeing other people's point of view, but doubled down anyway, because he'd made his point. But, I'm presuming. Yeah, this particular take, I wouldn't say CIG sabotaging itself. In a way that they are, but they're more sabotaging their fucking community. Because realistically, it's not CIG that gets new players to come in. It's the community that brings new players in. We show it to our friends. We talk to work colleagues about this sort of thing. We'll show it off to the rest of the world, us playing the game, talking about it, recommending it to people, and then CIG does shit like this.
But sometimes I think things just need to be said. I found that the best way to get somebody to change is not to continue to enable their bad behavior, but to speak honestly with them in the hopes that they'll listen to you at some point and improve and turn over a new leaf. But who knows, maybe I'm just speaking into the ether and nothing's gonna happen and we're just gonna keep going down this path of poor monetization decisions with no consideration for gameplay. But I really hope that that's not going to be the case. These monetization decisions have far-reaching consequences, not just for turning people away from Star Citizen, but in my view, create more complications for the future of the game. Specifically, how fair the game's going to be towards people with different levels of income. I would absolutely hate for this to become something like Diablo, where you have to spend gob tons of money in order to just be competitive. Because think about it, how is this going to work in the future with these types of kits when you can get them back through some kind of insurance? Is it just going to make it so that people who've spent real money never have to worry about consequences, where they can just walk into any kind of fight and not worry about the fact that they'll lose everything, whereas the regular player who spent $45 has to worry constantly about paying for their kit once again when they die?
So this is actually something that CIG has talked about in the past, a long time ago. And it was actually about ship insurance and how, not all ships have LTI and that you could eventually technically lose a ship that you pay for. And the wording was pretty much that that's not going to be the case. If you pay real money for something, you will always be able to get it back. The difference is that with LTI versus regular insurance, LTI, from my understanding, was that you'd still have to pay the premium when you're claiming the ship. You just wouldn't have to pay the insurance upkeep. Whereas a ship that you purchased with real money, once its hull insurance ran out, you would be able to reclaim that ship. It's just you would need to pay for your insurance plan again, plus the premium. Now, that's probably going to be the same case with people's gear is that you're not going to get it back for free. You're going to get it back and probably have to pay a small amount of credits as insurance for the items that you've purchased. But that's speculation there based on stuff that CIG has talked about with ship hull insurance. And to be honest, I think that's an extremely reasonable method of approaching this gear issue, where if you lose your kit and you want to get it back, you're going to have to pay for it. And yeah, we can die in the most random ways and people are going to complain, oh, you know, it wasn't my fault that I died. And it's like, look, man, just deal with it. The game's still in alpha, it's still in development. You're going to keep dying in the most random ways. Just pay the small amount of credits that it'll cost. Making credits in this game is not fucking hard. See you later, dirty beard. Yeah, you're still going to be able to make a lot of credits in this game. If you want the kit back, just pay the fee. And just, you know, as the game gets further along in its development, stability will improve and the frequency that you're losing stuff reduces. And it'll all be fine. But yeah, like the questions that Morph is asking there, CIG has talked in about these sorts of subjects which could relate to this.
That's not fair. That's not going to make the game fun, for me at least. I know some people will get some enjoyment over lording their income over others, but I certainly don't get that enjoyment, and I'm somebody who's spent over $10,000 in the game. Granted, I'm a content creator, but maybe that's just an excuse. But I'm going to wrap up here because this has already gone longer than I expected. I'm not saying that CIG needs to stop monetizing ships or selling items. It's how they get their funding. It's how the game that we love is going to get made. All I'm saying is that somebody needs to make more careful decisions about what they sell and what those implications are going to be, because right now it just seems like whoever's making some of these decisions isn't thinking about it at all. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my points or do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section below, and also let me know what you think they should do with some of this stuff in the future to make it a more fair game for everybody. I've been Morphologist. Hope to see you guys in the next one.
To be honest, I think Morph needs to be a bit more stern with this point there. Like, you know, being a lot more forward with language. And again, as a, you know, I believe content creation is like a pretty large portion of his personal income now, so you may not want to bite the hand that feeds him. You should just simplify it and make it that you can purchase all of the items in the kit at a reduced price since it was purchased with real life money. Like, the main issue that people are going to have with that particular thing is like, where do they go for it? There you go, help desks. Like, yeah, that's what I agree with too, Stoney. Like, you just get a terminal, add a terminal. It's your gear insurance terminal that you go to reclaim your gear that you lost. That's it. Pay the fee for the items so that you can get them back. They go straight into the inventory. And by doing that, you know, you get around this issue if people are trying to, you know, duplicate gear and stuff like that, because it's still going to cost them money. Not as much as what it would before, but fucking doesn't really matter. You could probably set it up so that if you die and you reclaim that gear belongs to the insurance company. Therefore, if you're found wearing it by security, it's considered that you're wearing stolen gear, and then they bloody pin you for it. Because I know CIG, I know that the law system can actually pick up when you're wearing stolen kit, like armor, undersuits, weapons, and things like that. Yeah, the concierge rooms. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see those for a long time. No god eyes bullshit. Yeah. at the moment we've got bigger things to worry about. To be honest, like, as much as I'd like to sit there and, you know, want CIG to sort out the bounty system, you know, so that we don't have fucking Sauron tracking out every fucking movement, we're gonna have to wait. But yeah, like, this whole gear thing, it's embarrassing, to be honest. I find it embarrassing. Yeah, like, I have a lot of friends in real life that they don't know that I play Star Citizen, they don't know that I'm a pirate, they don't know about the YouTube channel. I could probably increase the amount of people that are actually consuming the content that we put out there by talking about it with my real life friends. And they would then do the same thing and, you know, grow it that way. And the reason why I don't is because of shit like that. You know, like, the state of the game, I personally think, isn't in a good state for wider consumption. CIG keeps pushing it because they want to keep bringing funding in. And it's like, okay, well, you guys do that. I will, you know, put the game out there for anybody to see, you know, from my perspective, doing, you know, things that I like to do in the game. But if people want to buy into it, then, you know, during these streams, if they ask questions, I will be 100% honest with them. You know, I'm not going to give them the sugar-coated thing. I don't even tell people, like, it's in the description, but I won't sit there and go, hey, use a referral code, you know, provide the link and all that sort of shit to them. We're like, if you're going to buy into the game, you know, these are the things that you need to be aware of. You know, you got to be a glutton for punishment to be playing Star Citizen. The game has improved a lot, but it's still got a long way to go. And that sort of, you know, those marketing tactics, it's a scummy thing to do as far as I'm concerned. And CIG really needs to go find the closest reflective surface and take a hard look at themselves about how they're treating, you know, new members of the community and the current members of the community. Because it's shit for new people coming into the game to experience loss like that and then realize that they've lost that money. And it's shit for the current members of the community who are trying to bring their friends in and then explain to them, oh, yeah, if you die with that kit that you just bought with real money, you're going to have to go through this convoluted process to fucking get it back. Alright, I think that's enough on this particular topic. I think it's time that we moved on. Because, yeah, we've been going for nearly an hour on this one. I think we're starting to go around in circles. So the next bit of content is actually a Spectrum post. And, we're just going to get straight into it. The persistent universe needs purpose. Alright. By Mentalic. Yeah, it's a long post, as I say at the start, but we're going to go through it, because this is actually something that I think it's a perspective point, and I haven't read through this entire thing, but I believe it's a perspective issue, because I can tell you now, like, there are heaps of people in Mongrel Squad who used to play, before they joined, they used to play when the new patch would come out. They'd come in, play for a couple of weeks, and then they'd dip, and they, you know, would wait until the next patch cycle. Until they joined us, in which case, some of them have been playing for, you know, 2 to 3 years straight now. You know, like, every week they're playing. You know, pretty much since 3.0 came out, like, I've been playing at least once a week. In fact, the first time that I actually took a break from Star Citizen was a few weeks ago. And even then, I still ended up dropping in on an alt account and played for like an hour or so, just doing other stuff other than Piracy. And that's the thing about this, is like, you have to, you know, one, you got to be a glutton for punishment to play Star Citizen that frequently, but I think it comes down to perspective. And there's a lot of players who are of the mindset that they need to be fed their content. They need to be spoon-fed their content. You know, they need the developers building new stuff for them all the time, and realistically, Star Citizen isn't going to be that type of game. It's a game where they utilize systemic design to generate content for you to consume. And I don't think a lot of players really are prepared for that sort of, you know, content grind. Because that's what it eventually turns into. It just turns into a content grind. Alright, so let's start reading this. This is a bit of a long post. It has probably been said before, but I do not live on this forum. So I am leaving this as feedback for CIG. I know they probably won't read it. Shut up about the self-pity thing. Also, it goes without saying, but the stuff below is highly subjective. It's my opinion. You are obviously free to disagree. Loops and ships. Thus far, CIG has provided content for the PU chiefly through implementing or modifying gameplay loops and releasing vehicles or equipment. This list seems fairly robust when one takes stock of all the content in the Star Citizen persistent universe. There are ships that can effectively fight, haul, mine, salvage, fuel, or race. Ships vary from chiefly delivery, ground combat, space combat, cave diving, and racing. Players can log in and have wildly different experiences depending on the activities they choose to pursue. There is even the spectre of PvP and the ability to bump into about 100, possibly soon to be 200 other folks. Moreover, additional ship functionality and mission types are coming. Soon, we may have missions that utilize ground vehicles to greater effect. The Star Citizen community is also waiting with bated breath for Pyro. Its second Star System new ship mechanics are coming. This includes master modes and other bits. The content cycle. However, I do not think any of this new content will make the PU in any way more compelling for more than a patch cycle at a time. Hear me out. Time and again, CIG releases some sort of new content, Jumptown, Siege of Orison, some ship, racing, etc. And players engage with it when the patch hits. After engaging with the content for about a week or maybe two, many folks take breaks until a new bit of content is released by CIG for them to try for a week or two. In fact, this is often the accepted wisdom on these forums, and Reddit getting tired of Star Citizen, just take a break and come back in a patch. My take is thus: even if they quadruple the number of ships, mission types, gameplay loops, or star systems, the game would not be any more engaging past the week or two most players will use to check it out. They can put in hacking, data running, animals, medical ships, exploration gameplay, and so on. Each feature will grab attention for a patch cycle, then many folks will start taking their breaks. The PU is stuck in this cycle where they release some disconnected bit of content, we consume it, and then that's it. There's no reason to do it again other than to experience it every once in a while. Some may say that the answer is the ship grind, but even ignoring ship sales, that is ultimately very finite. That is ultimately very finite experience. Ultimately, what the PU needs is not more content, it needs compelling reasons to engage with that content over and over again, even after the novelty wears off. This is where I say that this problem is actually this person's issue. Like, why would you want to play Star Citizen in the first place? That's the first question that you need to ask yourself. You know, why am I playing Star Citizen? Because if you're expecting a compelling reason to engage with that content over and over again, that's not on CIG to give you that compelling reason. It's on you to come up with a compelling reason to continue to engage with that content over and over again. You know, I do Piracy in this game because I see it as the most challenging gameplay loop. And I do it, you know, at least once a week now. Minimum once a week. Previously it was every fucking day. And the reason why I kept engaging in it was because I wanted to. You know, I made the decision and I enjoyed the gameplay, I enjoyed the experiences. I found it fun. And that's, you know, the main reason why anybody should be playing a video game is what you're doing is fun. You find it fun. And, you know, like, sort out that gameplay as well. I didn't wait for it to be spoon-fed to me, and that's the problem. Is like they see that CIG has to give them content in order for them to be able to enjoy the game. Star Citizen is more systemic design than anything else. Like that's the way that it's been built. Systems get introduced, and then players interact with it, and what you make of those systems is really up to you. But if you're getting bored of it, to sit there and blame the game is, you know, missing part of the point. Sure, there's things that need to improve in Star Citizen, 100%. The game's not finished yet, but what more content can you squeeze out of it? You know, for the longest period of time, for years, we did Piracy without, you know, the prospect of making profit. We did it for the engagement, we did it for our enjoyment, we did it to train, we did it for, you know, like to play the game with people that we enjoy playing the game with our friends, with, you know, we'd make new friendships. It's one of those situations where it's like, you need to find the reason to continue engaging with that content. And if your expectation is for CIG to keep, you know, spoon feeding you, because that's what this is, like this person wants to be spoon fed more content, you're not going to find the enjoyment. You're only going to get those 2 weeks worth of enjoyment out of a patch, and then that's it. And then what happens when they finally hit gold status and they're not adding, you know, content frequently? What are you going to do then? Star Citizen is an MMO that isn't built as an MMO, which is why this guy feels like this guy. Which is why people feel like this guy. Usually MMO gets their PvP players engaged by frequently releasing extensions and dungeons, new raids. The PvP scene pretty much entertains itself by fighting each other. Well, that's the thing, is like PvE players, and this is one of those situations where Star Citizen is actually more unique, in that PvE can still be just as entertaining as PvP if you approach the game correctly with the right mindset. And this is why playing it with other people is actually crucial. And that's why, like, you know, these people who are sitting there complaining, I would ask them, you know, the first question is, do you play this game by yourself or with other people? Because if you're playing it by yourself, then yeah, you're going to be stuck in this content cycle until the game's finished, in which case you're going to play for probably, you know, a few months and then put it down. Because you're missing out on so much of this game. You know, the Mongrel Corps, the alliance that Mongrel Squad has started, is progressing towards more joint operations between pirates and, you know, industrial gameplay. We're pushing further towards that. Industrialists generally don't engage in PvP. They're all doing PvE content. You know, they don't really need to be engaging with, you know, players to do their content in the same sense that pirates have to, or, you know, like bounty hunters have to. And because we're pushing in that direction, we're improving the PvE content cycle for the members of the Mongrel Corps who, you know, are the industrialists that are more interested in that side of the gameplay. Because we're giving them purpose. You know, it's like, hey, you know, we've got this ship here, it's full of this cargo, we need help moving the cargo, you know, you can salvage the ship. Hey, you know, like, we need refueling. You know, most of us have crime stats, we're out in dead space, but you know, because they're a part of the alliance, we're not going to screw them over. Hey, we need repairs, we need replacement parts. You know, come to us, you know, we've got stuff for you guys to do that doesn't involve any sort of fighting, any sort of player versus player stuff. You're engaging in your PvE, but other players, you know, you're providing services to other players. Welcome, John Dodd. And that's why, you know, like, it really comes down to if you're playing this game solo or you're playing it with other people. Understanding if you're, you know, the type of game that you're playing. So this is systemic design as opposed to the constant, you know, spoon feeding content drive. And I can tell you now, like, the developers are going to struggle if they have to keep putting more and more content in there. Systemic design is the easiest way for them to go. You know, like, it's one of those situations now where it's like, for us, we're now progressing further into, you know, more of the industrial gameplay side of things to try and build that capability up. And that will help players a lot more, you know, with longevity on the industrial side of things. Because, well, industrialists can move cargo, you know, nobody really does refueling because 9 times out of 10 it's a fucking pirate putting bait out. You know, salvaging, you can pick up missions that cost pennies and you can make bloody hundreds of thousands of credits. But once you've done one salvaging mission, you've done them all. Once you've mined one rock, you've mined 1,000. Once you've, you know, moved one box, you've moved 1,000,000. So where does the purpose, why would you want to keep doing that? Well, it's because you're helping other people. You're part of a team. You're part of, you know, creating an industrial, or, you know, like with my goals is to create like a piracy factory production line. You know, that's one of my goals is like, we'll have pirate crews out there grabbing as much shit as we can from as many people as we can, bringing it back to a centralized location and get it processed. Set up mobile chop shops out in the middle of nowhere. Transfer all the stolen cargo, sell it all off, munch the ships up, grab all the components, sell all that stuff off. Do we have to do it? No, there's no reason to. Like, we don't need to play video games other than for our own entertainment, but we want to do that sort of stuff because we see the potential in fun. See? Like, you know, Twidgy right there. That sounds awesome. That's something that we're pushing towards. We're already starting to test the waters on it. Working out, you know, how to make it work. And that's because we're all thinking with a different mindset. And instead of waiting for CIG to spoon feed us this content, we're looking at the systems that we got now and going, all right, how do we milk this as much as we can for, you know, content so that we can, you know, extract more enjoyment out of it. Dirty, hello. And technically it does. The problem is that we don't see it in Stanton yet. And it's the Vandal. And there is a bit of an undertone, and it's, you know, Siege of Oris and Nine Towers Lockdown. You've even got Xenothreat. Like, there's a couple of different plot lines that are happening underneath, you know, what's going on in the game. The problem is that they're specifically one event, as opposed to, you know, like a series of missions that you could do that engage with, you know, like you building up a bad rep with Nine Tails or something like that. Eckhart feels like storytelling or a storyline. Yeah, well, what is it? I can't remember the criminal gang. Arlington. The Arlington gang. You know, and you build up to fighting an Idris. Like, there's a whole potential, you know, like, there's potential there for systemic design to drive that sort of narrative where, you know, like you can say, I was given a series of these missions from this NPC, and as I, you know, built up my rep with them, I got more. And, you know, I had this awesome storyline, and eventually, you know, it culminates in me attacking, you know, with 20 other people attacking this pirate base that was on this random moon, and, you know, like, we were there fighting for 2 hours, and it was like a dungeon raid. But we're not there yet. CIG is building up to it. But, you know, like, you don't have to wait for that yet. We can do stuff like that now, in terms of, like, building up capabilities, building up gameplay experiences. But, you know, like, it comes down to you need the right mindset to be able to play this game as regularly as, like, people in Mongrel Squad or the auxiliaries or the pack rats, or just, you know, in general. Like, if you're playing the game more than once a week over a 6-month period, you know, not only playing for 2 weeks straight and then leaving it for bloody 4 or 5 months and then coming back for 2 weeks. You need to be able to have the right mindset to be able to engage in the gameplay. And that's the problem, is like, if you're expecting CIG to keep giving it to you, it's not going to work out well. Alright, let's continue. But it's a sandbox. I can hear some folks now. But the PU is a sandbox. Well, yes, but even sandboxes need to give players meaningful reasons to engage with content. In fact, arguments can be made that sandboxes actually benefit most from long-term incentives. This is a bit of a stretch, but I've DM'd my fair share of tabletop role-playing campaigns in the past. Some were linear dungeon crawls or investigations, others were open-world sandboxes. I found that the sandbox campaigns required the most effort on me as the game master to motivate players. Since the sandbox was less like a ride they were on, the players needed to see impacts to their actions. They needed motivations to do X rather than Y. They needed not to just be presented options, but they needed those options to be ultimately feel meaningful. In many ways, the Persistent Universe is like a horribly run sandbox tabletop campaign, just a bunch of stuff you can do that feels meaningless. I can speak from experience that if I presented that to a group at a tabletop role-playing game, or tabletop role-playing table, they would ask for me to run something else. This just sounds like you're a shitty DM. Like, if you're going for an open world sandbox, you as a DM need to be, you know, very knowledgeable on the, you know, universe that you're playing in. But then, yes, you have to motivate players in order to make decisions if you want to guide them in specific directions. But realistically, a sandbox is the players make the decisions for themselves. So if you've got a group of people there who are kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do, then you as the DM need to motivate them and provide them options. And then they make the story as they go. It's a paradox of choice. If you give people too many options initially, the anxiety of cost benefit becomes too much for people. Yeah, well, that comes down to empowering people with knowledge, though. If you empower people with knowledge, they start to make decisions. You know, this is what you can do in this environment. But then again, you know, like, if you're in a sandbox environment, you need to have a level of you need to be inquisitive in nature if you're playing a sandbox. You need to be able to sit there and go, oh, I wonder what this does, and, you know, through trial and error, work things out. One has a point, no main quest line. Well, who's going to do the main quest line? You're in a universe full of people. Are you the main character? Am I the main character? Can we do the same quest line? Why, you know, do you get to be the hero of the story when I'm doing the exact same quest line as you? Doesn't matter. I make my D&D games open world by only making the world and having players interact. If you're not having players' actions not do anything in any D&D game, you're the definition of a bad DM. 100%, man. Like, you need, like, players, the impact of player actions really comes down to how the DM makes those actions feel impactful. It's like, oh, you know, like, during one campaign that I was DMing for, the team decided to take a goblin as a slave, and when one of the barbarians broke all their weapons, because they fucking rolled really poorly in attacks, they grabbed the goblin and started wielding it like a mace. So, you know, like it was fucking hilarious. That wasn't part of the campaign, but that was them making decisions, and I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go with it. Let's see how this goes. You know, letting the dice, you know, make the decisions. Alright, Dirty, thanks for dropping in, man. Good hunting, mate. And catch you around. I need to hit you up as well. I'll send you a message on Discord if you're still around. I'm thinking about running a Mongrel Corps and talking about the Piracy experience. What are you talking about? Side effects? We got crafting. You can make, buddy, tractor beam attachments and multi-tools. MMO, yeah, Telva, that's what Squadron 42 is. That's the main storyline that you get to play when it comes out. Star Citizen isn't the same as an RPG, because that's what you're talking about. Like you're talking about an MMO, but you're forgetting the RPG part. You're talking about an MMO RPG there, Telva. Whereas Star Citizen is a first-person universe, which is an MMO. So it's an MMO FPU, where there's no main character. Everybody is their own character. So to sit there and say main story quest line, you would need to create something that everybody can interact with but not be the main character of. Whereas in MMORPGs, they instance the storyline so that you can be the, you know, hero of the story and participate in that storyline, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not the type of game that Star Citizen is. Now, I know, like, you know, one of the motivations for mission creation in Star Citizen is to try and give players their own experience where they're the main character of their own little storyline, but that's going to be done through systemic design. And that's one of the things is, like, you know, they had a push a couple of years ago where they were, you know, trying to introduce more NPCs, more NPC mission givers, and they kind of stopped on working on that. Why, nobody really knows, but, you know, like, we saw the intent there. We saw that, you know, they wanted to give those storyline experiences to players. But if you're expecting, you know, that as your main method of consuming content in Star Citizen, you're not going to have a good time. It's going to end up being, you'll do it all, and then you'll be like, okay, where's the next bit of content? And CIG turns around and goes, well, you know, we don't have the time to do it. You're going to have to wait. And then you're back in this cycle. All right, I'll come back when the next patch comes. Yeah, Telva, 100%. That's what I was talking about with the mission givers. You know, that's the Arlington gang mission that Eckhart gives out. But if you want to extract more from Star Citizen now, you need to find more reason to play it yourself. And playing with other people is the way that you get it. Alright, last few paragraphs, let's finish this off. Make it a game. I'm not sure what the answer is. Maybe now that we have persistence, they can start to work on personal habs. Then our effort could go into gaining and maintaining homesteads and operations. Quantum can possibly come into play, though I doubt it will do enough to motivate players on its own. I've heard the devs mention faction coming more prominently into the game for years now, still little movement there. Sadly, these sorts of things ultimately seem many years away. We keep getting new loops and new ships. I just don't think any of that stuff matters nearly as much as systems to make existing and future content meaningful. The excuse they keep giving is that the person working on X is working on Squadron 42. It's disheartening. Please, CIG, focus a bit more on giving weight to player action. This is what will elevate Star Citizen from an experience to a game. Please make it so that we are more driven to engage with the content past the patch cycle. implementing something like this could go a long way in making the game more enjoyable for all the folks that are waiting on server meshing and Polarises. At the very least, please talk about this more. Let us know what you plan on doing to make gameplay feel more meaningful and engaging. Like, they just want storylines. That's what they want. They want their content spoon-fed to them through the form of storylines where they can feel like the main character. That's it. And we've explained, you know, we've been talking about throughout the entire, you know, this entire reaction that there's only so much that you can achieve from that. You know, you need to learn to be able to play, you need to learn to play the game, you know, through its systemic design and make your own goals and then pursue them. Because at the end of the day, like, there's no reason for us to do Piracy in Star Citizen. Credits don't matter. They really don't. The credits do not matter at all. It's still better to make credits doing bounties or, you know, right now cargo hauling. So what's the motivation of doing Piracy? Well, if you ask fucking Care Bears, it's to make other people cry, and it's not. It's a challenging gameplay loop. It's something different. It's a, you know, it's entertaining. It's fun. It's about having fun. Now, if you're sitting there and you want more long-term goals to go after, then you have to set those yourself. In Mongrel Squad, we have a tally, you know, that I set every patch cycle. I go, this is how much we're aiming to make. And, you know, I think we've hit it once. And I had to push it further along. But I've also put other restrictions in. You know, certain types of hits don't contribute to the tally. Like, we don't count Jump Town because it's too easy. It's too easy to do, you know, count hits from Jump Town. Or if we're doing hits from Jump Town, you know, there are specific parameters that have to be met. You know, sneaking onto somebody's ship and just flying away with it at Jump Town doesn't count. You know, you have to pirate the ship properly. You need to fight the crew for the ship. And those are internal goals. CIG doesn't dictate that to us. We dictate that to ourselves, and it's in the pursuit of a challenging experience, challenging, fun gameplay that helps us build up our skills. Because I've maintained this from the start. The credits will, you know, don't matter until the game goes live. But the skills that we build now, CIG can't wipe that unless they significantly change a game mechanic, which they won't. They'll make modifications, but they won't significantly change game mechanics. They'll add things and they'll remove things, but the skills that we gain every single patch cycle can't be taken away from us. So that persists across patch cycles, and it helps us improve our gameplay experience. Caves don't count. Yeah, that's right. Because it just ended up being the exact same thing as Jump Down. Wait until old mate came out, pop him in the back of the head, walk onto a ship with all that kit. That said, not fun. It's not even bloody skillful. Anyone can do that. That doesn't practice your piracy skills, Telva. Because that's my main prerogative, is to make sure that my orgs are ready and that they practice skills and that we have an enjoyable time and, you know, do things that other people can't do and do them better. And you know who set those goals? It wasn't fucking CIG. It was me. I made those goals for myself and for the orgs that I run. Keep getting an installer error. Any ideas? Do you have enough hard drive space? You also need to make sure that you've got more than what the actual download is for the page file, because even though you can have like 64 gigabytes of bloody RAM on your PC, Star Citizen will only use a certain percentage of that, and then it will start using a page file. And if you're filling a hard drive, well, SSD, you shouldn't be using a hard drive for Star Citizen. If you fill your SSD up with the Star Citizen files and you don't have enough left over for your page file, you're going to have a installer error. You ran out of hard drive space? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, like, the persistent universe needs purpose. You need to learn to give yourself purpose, mate. That's the first step. You need to give yourself purpose. CIG will add more mechanics to the game, and eventually, you know, you will find your purpose within it. But if you're expecting CIG to give you purpose, they are going to put, you know, they'll put toys in the sandpit for you to play with, and it's up to you to create, you know, work out what you want to do with them. That said, though, like, you know, a really good way of giving players purpose is giving them things to build, like bases. Base building would be a really good thing. Manufacturing, as Side Effects pointed out. Crafting. We have it technically with the bloody vulture of all fucking ships, but yeah, like, if you do want to give players a tool that gives them the motivation to create a sense of purpose, base building's a really good way to go. $64 gigabytes and Star Citizen doesn't use a page file ever. Don't know about that. Maybe it doesn't need to. Sounds like you need to open more Google Chrome tabs. Open more Google Chrome tabs and then you'll eventually have to start using a page file. Alright. Tulver, it's going to be Rust. So, the CIG's talked a little bit about land claims. So you know how years ago you could buy those land claims, and what was it, like a 4x4 kilometer square land claim and then an 8x8? Pretty much those land claims are for land in UEE space. So you put it down on a planet in UEE space, and that's your land in UEE space. You can build your base, you got mineral rights and all that sort of stuff. Now, you can build a base there, and if it gets attacked, UEE will, you know, or local law enforcement will show up and help you defend your land. But it's not going to be instance-based. It will be like Rust. Now, what will be instance-based is your player habs and your player hangars. And CIG has talked about this a little bit, where they want players to be able to, you know, load into their own hangars and that. But realistically, on a server, you can't really have... Look, they could try to physicalize thousands of habs at a station, but it's not really technically feasible. So instancing those habs is easier for them to do. Instancing the hangars as well. And by doing the instancing, they can set themselves up so that players can land their ships, take off, and they can, you know, those instance hangars, you know, can mesh with the like game level server, so that when you leave your hangar, you pop out into the game space where everybody else is. Same with the habs. two whole Chrome tabs, yeah. When data running comes, will we be able to find and record the locations of player bases? It really comes down to what CIG wants that to be. Like, you could do that now though. Like, if you had player base building now, you could triangulate coordinates based on OMs, on the orbital markers. Get as close as you can to that base. You know, hit B for your quantum travel thing, quantum travel markers, and then pick out 3 orbital markers, write down the distances, you just mark somebody's base. And players have been doing that for ages. There's also a chat command that you can use for player locations as well. I think it's /player location or something like that. I can't remember exactly the command, but yeah, you can also do it. There you go, show location. Yeah, you can actually use that for Team Dolus's snare plan to work out your exact position and whether or not the position that you're in will interdict people from a specific destination. So you can technically do that, although for a more friendly navigation experience in game, you're probably better off using the orbital markers or fixed locations in the game. Quantum beacons, maybe. Like, that's really up to what CIG wants to put in and what they consider a priority. I think it'll be more or less a thing that they'll put in. We just need to wait. Alright. I think we've pretty much exhausted that Spectrum post. Alright, the next thing that we're going to move on to is a Reddit post. I thought this one was worth looking at. Mainly because it's a good little bit of chest thumping. I thought it was funny. It's quite clear, like, you know, to me, let's just look at it. Here it is here. How I deal with pirates' time-wasting tactics. How I deal with pirates by using time-wasting tactics, because this person clearly thinks that what they can do to pirates is a waste of their time. Your statuses in subcomma is minus -800 or so. Mine's like 3,500, but that's because I put some memes up there a while back that people liked. But whenever I've talked about piracy or anything like that, it just gets downvoted into oblivion. How I deal with pirates by using time-wasting tactics. Buying an A2 has made retaliation a lot easier. You can just go back to the wreck site and nuke them repeatedly. I totally recommend having one on hand. Or even flips upside down and nuke yourself and them if it seems like all is lost. Do not negotiate with terrorists. It's better to make a big mess for them to clean up than hand over a nice clean ship full of cargo. If you must blow up, don't do it in 0G. Be in the atmosphere but as high as possible. Head towards a location you will be quantum jumping from so that after you have quantum jumped with the A2, the wreckage will be as close to you as possible, leaving less time for them to react, and then return with the A2. My full load of gold is more of pirate bait. I relish in the act of wasting their time. To be clear, this means baiting them, not reverse piracy. The popularization of pirating by some streamers recently, in my opinion, is not helping the game. Fuck off. It's not. Don't allow yourself to become their free content, burn them down. And just so we're clear, piracy is a valid and allowed part of the game, but so is baiting them into having a bounty and having a location that I know they will attempt to return to for collection of said bounty. 100% side effects. This only happens in old mate's head. Like, it's funny that they would attempt to do this. But here's the thing though, it's like, if you're an experienced pilot or a pirate, you know how to deal with something like this. Like if somebody is attempting to pull this, you know, sort of shit off, like if they stay up high in atmosphere but don't push into space, you just brick them. Brick them in high atmosphere and then just follow the ship down. There's been one time that I've seen where we've bricked a ship in high atmosphere, followed it down, and then something happened and it hard deathed. We don't know what caused it. But, you know, what we were able to do though is when the ship hard death, we just followed the cargo down and it all stayed nicely grouped up. We didn't get as much from the ship as what we, you know, would if it had been just soft deathed. It would have hard deathed on the ground. It just would have been easier for us to find it. But even when it blew up in high atmosphere, you know, I spotted the cargo and just followed it down. It took about 5 minutes to fall, but once it got to the ground, it was all together. We just flew around, picked all the cargo up, and then went and sold what we got. But yeah, like this is, to me, it's funny. Like, one, this is one of those types of posts, and it's reminiscent of another post. Who was it? Some org. The thread got locked on Reddit because they kept mentioning the org that did this sort of op where they broke into prison and then just started killing they started killing prisoners. They just called them pirates so that they couldn't shorten their sentence. And, you know, it was pretty much them chest thumping, and that's what this is like, this is chest thumping. And the funniest thing is like, this person's talking about, you know, wasting pirates' time by bombing them over and over again, and it's like, you know, if this is what you find fun, man, sure, but you wouldn't be pulling this shit off against most serious pirate orgs. Like, you're returning by yourself in an A2, which can be spotted. You want to hope that you can, you know, when you quantum travel to the target's position, or to, you know, the outpost that you crashed near, that your A2 comes out, you know, close enough to where the wreck is. Because if you quantum travel to the outpost and you end up on the other side, they're going to see you coming from a mile away and just shoot you down before you even get near them. But yeah, it's like, how much gold is this guy, you know, losing to go through this act of wasting their time? Like, this is literally a fucking Care Bear who made this up in their fucking head, upvoted by at least 518 other Care Bears, and it's because they're salty about piracy being popularized by streamers who are just doing the content that's the flavor of the month, which is piracy. Yeah, it's kind of funny. If you go through this, there's a lot of chest thumping. There's a couple of pirates apparently who comment in this as well, and it's like, fucking, where's your respect for yourself as a pirate organization? Just, there's no need to even respond to this particular person. Well, the amount of chest thumping is just fucking hilarious. But not commissioned for security. He doesn't want security. He wants to get pirated. He wants to get pirated so that he can then use his A2 and waste their time. The thing is like, if old mate shows up in an A2 and you know he's going to show up in an A2 again, even if you don't get him the first time and you know he's going to show up in an A2 again, you would be prepared for it the second time. But that's why I say, you know, and I agree with the premise, like, this is just some fucking guy's idea in their head that they were going to do this. Because they're assuming that player pirates are like fucking AI that don't fucking think and don't respond and are retarded. And don't know how to handle PvP encounters. At this point here, the popularization of pirating by some streamers recently, in my opinion, is not helping the game. Fuck off with that stupid Care Bear mentality. Dead set, you're a fucking idiot. If you think that players doing piracy is not helping the game, you haven't been paying attention to fucking Star Citizen at all. This stream started with a scummy marketing tactic, or complaining about a scummy marketing tactic that CIG has been doing. Like, to sit there and blame players as opposed to, you know, talking about CIG and the scummy shit that they've done in the past as not helping the game. Like, your head is so far up your own ass if you think like that. If anything, people should be encouraged to see, oh, there's player pirates around. You know, there's bad guys that, you know, the good guys can fight. Where are all the good guys? Well, they're not fucking around because all the Care Bears are sitting there going, oh, I don't want to pay credits. I don't want to pay for the protection. You know, I'm too fucking stupid to come up with an idea on how I can reduce the cost for protection whilst increasing the amount of protection available to me. You know, I can't think of the idea that, hey, I'll get some other cargo haulers, we'll all haul on the same server and we'll hire security and we'll all just chip in a bit of credits for the security to patrol the, you know, patrol the quantum travel route that we're using, so that if we do get attacked by somebody who's trying to pirate us, our security will show up and kick the shit out of them. But no, that's too fucking big brain of an idea to come up with. Yeah, Avatar. Want to waste the pirate's time, fill the C2 with waste. We actually, that reminds me of a hit that we did towards the start of 3.19, where it was on ITA, it was at Woodruff, and we came across a Caterpillar and our scanners weren't working, and we're like, well, you can buy a barrel at Woodruff, and we're like, yeah, this guy's probably going to buy a barrel. Anyway, we brick them, like they take off, we, you know, we interdict them. We know we were trying to push them up into space, but they tried going back to the outpost, so we bricked their ship. Their ship survived the crash landing, but during this entire time we could not get a scan. There was like 6 of us there and not one of us could get a scan on this guy. Anyway, they crash land and we finally get a scan and it's full of aluminium. And we just looked at it and I checked the value and I'm like, you know what? We're just going to leave it there. We're just gonna leave it. We fucking we just left the ship. It was like 5 kilometers away. It was just outside of the armistice zone bubble, or for the, no, sorry, the green zone bubble for QED. And yeah, we just left the shipwreck there, full cargo, just full of aluminium, and we're just like, yeah, we're not moving that, and just moved on. So yeah, like 100% you could fill a ship with just random shit that's worth nothing. And you could potentially waste that pirate's time. Because the boxes are color coded to be different bloody, you know, colors. Like, I think it was late last week. Yeah, late last week we ended up encountering a ship that was mostly gold, but then filled up the rest with aluminium. And because the boxes are the same fucking color, we just went, all right, well, I guess we got to take it all now, because we don't know what's gold and what isn't. So we transferred an entire C2's worth of gold / aluminium onto another C2, Actually, no, I think it was a caterpillar and another ship. Anyway, we transferred, you know, all the cargo across and sold the gold and aluminium. So yeah, if you want to make it even harder for pirates, you know, buy metals that will be in the same commodity boxes that we can't tell the difference between. How do I feel about running extortion on ships with cargo like that? That is worth moving. That isn't worth moving. So for Mongrel Squad, we're red flag. And the reason for that is to encourage security. Now, we would still move the cargo, or what we would try and do is sell the ship to the pack rats. That's kind of another motivation of why we've maintained red flag and haven't gone back to extortion and ransom. Because I can tell you now, if we went the route of extortion, like, we'd never have to do shipboardings. Which, you know, for me, shipboardings are really fun. Even as shit as EVA is, doing the shipboarding is fun. But that also means normally you have to brick the ship. If you disable it with distortion weapons, you might get lucky and they don't initiate self-destruct, but most of the time they initiate self-destruct when they realize that they're going to lose. But yeah, I'd rather focus on the fun of the hit, and I'd rather try and, you know, create the gameplay for other groups. So, you know, giving security purpose. I want there to be security orgs there trying to stop us. We've had a few encounters. Yesterday, we actually encountered a caterpillar with a turret gunner. There was 4 of us there. They had no chance of beating us because, you know, fucking I've pirated thousands of players by this point. But it was, you know, it was good. They had a turret gunner, but unfortunately they came up against the wrong crew. You know, like, we train against ships with turret gunners on them, so we knew what to do. But that guy apparently had been pirated, you know, and lost 15 million credits worth of commodities over 2 days. And they decided to use a turret gunner as a method of trying to stop us. Unfortunately, the server 30k'd before we could transfer all the gold. But, you know, it was a good experience. And, you know, hats off to old mate for attempting to fight back and trying to protect his cargo and, you know, using his brain to employ security. And that's the thing is, like, you know, hopefully they learn from that experience and they're like, all right, well, maybe a turret gunner and an extra fighter will help. And it would have. Like, you know, we had to be aware of our movements. You know, and we had a mantis there for the snare, but the rest of us were in Cutlass Blues. And until this mantis was able to get its snare up, we in the Cutlass Blues had to cycle in. And as soon as one of us started drawing aggro from the turret gunner, you know, they would move away and try and keep aggro of the turret gunner, but another Cutlass would push in so that it was in QED range and, you know, kept working on the shields. And that's the thing about this is that, you know, we had a player attempt, you know, to fight back. They attempted to play the game the way that it was intended. It didn't go their way. Unfortunately, they came up against us. But, you know, they may have gone up against a less experienced piracy crew and they may have gotten away with it, and it would have been an awesome experience for them. You know, the guys who did the boarding action, it was a bit more challenging for them. One of their crew members didn't have any FPS kit though, so there was a lesson learnt from that. Don't fucking run around in your sperm suit. Kit yourself up for a fight. Even if you're not going to end up getting pirated, kit yourself up for a fight, because chances are you may end up in a fight, and it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Even if you don't want to run around with a kit on, put it in the ship's inventory, because if the ship gets bricked, you can still access the inventory. Well, that's just it, side effects. People need to want to do that. And they've been given this solution many times and they're just not willing to. They just want to play their solo game. Thumb and bum, minor neutral. Or unless you're this guy, in which case, you know, your cargo load is pirate bait so that you can waste their time returning with an A2, getting shot down over and over again, thinking that you're going to bomb them. Because this only happened in Old Mate's head. Dead set. This really only happened in Old Mate's head. And they've done it for the Reddit karma, which still is shit karma. Alright. Let's keep the ball rolling. We're going to finish off. Not finishing off the stream, but we've got 3 videos, which needs to wait its turn till I'm ready to play it. You know what I realized that I forgot to do? I forgot to be linking these things. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to watch a video. Yeah. We're going to finish off with 3 videos. We'll see how quickly these go. Fighter instead of a turret gunner is a better option. You don't think? 2 is 1, 1 is none. Having 2 problems to deal with is always better than 1 problem. The ideal situation though, Telver, is that they have a turret gunner and a fighter with them. Because then they can coordinate their fighter and turret gunner to try and bait people into the fire of the turret gunner. But yeah, like, at the end of the day, they're going to have to learn, and they will learn eventually, or they'll find something else to do. Alright. We're going to finish off with 3 videos, and then we'll call it for the end of the stream. So this one, what's the fucking name again? That's the video link there if you want to watch it later. It's also in the description. This is by Gadu Badish. And it is the best pirate operation ever. So let's watch this. The best pirate operation ever.
Security douchebag.
Isn't he in the thing there?
I'm fighting him right now.
Guy doesn't.
What did that say? The best piracy fucking ever. Alright. They've at least put a little bit of an outline there. This guy like must be taking his what's it called? Text cues from CIG's UI team. Because it's fucking hard to see.
Could do with some support, yeah.
Let's deal with this fucking
Well, you just lost the engine effect.
Could it please somehow count?
He's still going against his corner. He's in a Cutlass Black. Hold up. Nerve and It's Not Fair. These are fucking Voidy dudes' friends. What's with the loud music? I don't know. It's the video. I think they, I don't think they've balanced their audio right. Balancing audio is really difficult, especially when you're dealing with other people's point of views and they've got different fucking volume values going. But even then, like, knowing what to set the music to, it's one of those things where you should know it. No one really tells you though.
It's Dead. Fucking up his Merlin too. Where's he
What do they do? Okay, so they hit this. I thought it was a freelancer max because of the orange coloring to start off with when they were landing there, but it's actually a Connie. So that was the Andromeda that they were fighting? When did it go down? Alright, we're just gonna keep watching.
Yeah, it appears to be okay.
Oh, good on them for doing the right thing and having escorts. And the guy was smart.
Right, there's another Carrack.
What?
He's
No,
got at least, he's bringing in another.
You wanted to set your respawn instead of on the character.
Why did we just change? What
So
happened to the
actually-
Andromeda?
It's your character now.
Okay.
You are the captain.
You're the captain now.
He's on the ship.
Alright, he's gonna break into
So
a
because I
Carrack.
listened to whatever Fair tells me to do, I got aboard the Carrack. Which wasn't a great idea, as there wasn't exactly much to do, with all the fights raining above, and me being in a big slow ship.
Come on,
Kill
get
him.
out of
Knock him
space,
down.
bro. Get out into space.
Yeah. Shoot him down. Just off the out of that C2 and kill Captain Ranger.
Eric Soft.
Got death, yeah, I want you guys there.
Problem
Yeah.
is, so he's on board, and we need to get people on board for boarding.
Can I do that? I'm very bored because Carrack doesn't move.
Whoever, please keep a scan on him, just to make sure.
Gunning as well.
No,
Carrack.
he's gonna ram it.
Yeah, I am.
He's gonna. No.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, fucking witty Carrack.
Carrack.
Hello, Gary.
Hello.
So they've just bricked this Carrack in space and now they're gonna board it.
still online.
Jackie O is still on board, so yeah.
Slots does it for the moment, yeah. Jackie O, not bad, Pirates. Good work on my Carrack. Have fun with 125k.
Okay, bud. We will. What? Just the fuck wheel, all the boxes of fucking cargo.
I haven't seen a box yet.
It says 25 SCU of gold, yes.
25, oh, for fuck's sakes. I'll still take it.
Oh, hello there.
He read you can't really see it here, but the text at the bottom says he read 225 SU by mistake. We actually had this yesterday where two of us swore we saw 175 SU of gold on a C2. So we're like, all right, it's taking off. We'll hit it. It's 175. Brick it in space. We did silent QED, followed it into space, bricked it, went to board it, and we're going through the back, and I'm like, that doesn't look like 175 SCU of fucking cargo. It was like one little like, I think it was about 4 rows. 4 rows of gold in the back. And I think it was Tanjar rescanned it and went, yeah, no, there's only 17 SCU of gold on that ship. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, alright, well, let's go in there. Let's see what's going on. Old mate, as soon as we bricked the ship, they just alt F4'd immediately. But the scans were still showing that they're on board, so we're like, alright. We ended up doing the boarding action, pushed to the bridge, cleared the rest of the ship, and it's like, okay. Just threw all the gold in the back of a Cuddy Blue and then went and sold it whilst looking for another target. Yeah. So I feel this pain. They really need to fix the fucking font. He rage quit for 17 boxes. I think he rage quit because he got hit. And didn't want to get bloody smashed. He probably was just in a sperm suit with no weapon. We see that so many times now. Most people aren't ready for a boarding action.
But I don't see it.
Here we go. Here it is.
Cargo.
Here it is.
Okay,
Here
cool.
it is.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just dump it out the front and then take it from there.
Okay.
Close to you, yeah? Yeah, it's awful, but
Yeah.
just get yourself located in an area. Whoa.
What the f? Oh, I'm taking damage. Jesus Christ, I'm bleeding out. Okay, okay. Ah, I
Just go
love this
over
one.
me, go over me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're gonna blow up that ship.
cleared out here. I'm getting trapped between them. It's a
Right.
sketchy maneuver.
I've pulled everything out of the cargo bay, and I can help
Ow.
with pushing from my side. You guys are. Yeah.
Faz has a very toxic relationship with boxes.
I do. They are not my friends. Sorry, I thought I read 225 and I got super excited, but I mean, still a hit.
Also,
Get
makes you
wrecked,
more
Carrick.
relatable. I also
That said, though, it's a fucking Carrick, and if you've pirated Carracks before, you know how painful they are to pull boxes out of. Which is why, whenever we pirate a Carrack, once we brick it, we finish it off, and then just pull boxes out of the wreckage, and just deal with the fact that we're not going to get as much, because it's just easier. It's easier to move boxes out of a Carrack that's been hard death. Don't ever it's not worth the time to soft death a Carrack and then move the boxes out. Like, I would consider it because it was only 25 boxes in this case, but if it was like a full Carrack, which we've done before, we've hit a full Carrack and we pulled all the boxes out, it was so painful. So fucking painful. We're just like, never again. Just destroy.
can't read.
I'm gonna get back on the cuddy just for extra support. Now that I've got my full screen.
You got fighters up there. You need to get the cargo off that ship.
Oh shit!
Oh.
What is happening tonight?
Oh my god, this is fantastic.
Looks so
Worst thing you
cool.
could have done is actually do that.
Oh shit.
That's insane.
Holy shit!
What were you
What is happening tonight, gents?
This is why you don't have anybody flying next to the fucking target ship, especially in gravity. Because that will happen. Because ships don't settle properly according to clients. And any sort of thruster wash, even though it's not supposed to have an influence on ships anymore, still does. And yeah, even when you don't intend for it to do anything, for another client, it'll go, oh, this ship just experienced a whole bunch of wind. We're going to flip the ship around.
The mountain. Some maize on the ground.
Definitely maize on the ground, I see it.
But it looks like 4 boxes, literally, so... I mean, I'm not going to complain for 4 extra boxes of maize, I guess. All maize is sacred.
I have content, I have lots
Hello.
of footage from my perspective as well.
Oh, that'd be awesome, yeah.
Fucking... Oh, man. At least they had fun. And then it's free ride time, yeah. I don't know. How much did they make? It's not about how much they made, it's about the experiences that they had and the friends that they made along the way, Telva. You want to know why? Did you want to know if you made more than them? Honestly, I have no idea. Just seems like, what was it? They pulled 4 boxes. Those boxes are like 12,000 each. I don't know. You haven't in the last month? Yeah. Alright. The next video that we're going to be reacting to is from the Cosmic Cleaner, and it's a pirate attack. So let's go straight into this one. See what this is about. The Cosmic Cleaner, a pirate attack.
Following the haulage experiment that JB and the Verse Capo crew carried out a number of days ago, JB awoke with a plan. He wanted to head back out to Microtech and the SMO 18 facility. Once there, JB wanted to see whether he would be able to pirate a hauler and steal their cargo. The Verse Capo crew didn't need much persuasion. Okay, they didn't need any persuasion at all to join in on the experiment.
Oh, it's a scythe. Is that a scythe? That looks like a scythe. Could be
Pookie
a
and
glaive,
Fury
though.
Clamshell would take the Scorpius. This ship had been fitted out
Well, that's a
completely with
scythe.
distortion cannons and repeaters. JB was of the
Don't
view
see
that
too many of
distortion
those.
weapons in Star Citizen are extremely overpowered. the weapons have the same effect as an electromagnetic pulse, disabling enemy ship systems, such as their weapons and quantum.
Distortion weapons are overpowered like EMP. Don't think this person's done much work with the EMP this patch cycle. Or if they have, they've only been testing against fighters.
Quantum drive. They also affect the enemy ship engines, which means when an engagement occurs in atmosphere or within a gravitational effect, the ship is unable to fly and will crash towards the planet's surface. JB determined that distortion weapons are therefore the go-to choice for pirating haulage
we know,
vessels.
Tolva.
Firstly, you are able to incapacitate a vessel, and once incapacitated, you are able to ransom the pilot, offering them the opportunity to save their ship and cargo in exchange for a share of the credits. Secondly, you are able to control the engagement, often preventing a ship returning to the armistice zone by incapacitating their engines. And thirdly, preventing an enemy ship from being able to return fire gives you and your team a buff to your survivability in an engagement. JB was looking forward to seeing how
CIG about to make a hotfix patch in 40 minutes. They're suggesting you claim and store your ships. I couldn't be bothered. Eat a bag of dicks to anybody in a different time zone though. EU guys. Eat a massive bag of dicks. You're gonna lose everything in your sleep. Good hell.
how Scorpion fared. Once on the ground, JB took up a surveillance position just outside the main landing zone, whilst Pookie and Fury held their positions
hiding
behind the...
Fucking, this is... This is actually pointless now. And the reason why is because of friendly markers that Care Bears cried for because they kept shooting each other during events like Siege of Orison. So now there's friendly markers everywhere, and if you're on a ship and there's a player on the ground or a player body, you can see their body. So old mate trying to hide in a bunch of sticks on the ground is realistically making it easier for him to be spotted. Because a ship, if they're paying attention, will see a little blue chevron above their position when they get close enough to the outpost. Secondly, there's a fucking scythe there, which would just look hella sus. Yeah. They have markers now if you're in a ship. It's ridiculous. It's so dumb. Yes, Telva, there is. So old mate hiding here though is going to get spotted, or would get spotted. And he's just got a scythe there, which would create more curiosity. I don't know what type of cutlass that is. That's a Mustang. Can't really tell the shape. It's probably just an Alpha.
The large hill in the distance. Ornoth Drake was on standby in a Mercury Star Runner at Port Tressler, should we come across any cargo.
I keep saying names of people like we are supposed to know them. That's why I don't put the names of people, you know, like people have asked us, oh, can you put the names of, you know, the different points of view so that we know who they are? It's like, why? It's just going to keep changing. You know, there will be so many different names that you will see, you know, and then you'll start asking questions, where's such and such, blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're on a break. They left the org. I think she's trying to sound like Kate. This just sounds like an AI, to be honest. Sounds like a text-to-speech module.
JB reported that he had sighted an incoming Cutty Black.
Oh shit. My engines are off and stuff like that, so... Do you want me to
Feels
go into
really
the gully?
RP.
Or do you want me to take off?
JB instructed the Verse Capo crew to hold their position, whilst the target landed and bought whatever cargo they wanted.
You should be able to see him run towards the station.
Yeah, it's just this ramp here.
Yeah. Watching.
He's there just underneath. Don't know where he's gone.
Do you have a visual? And if you have a visual, do you want us to engage or not?
JB explained that the plan would be that they would only engage once the loaded ship had taken off and exited the armistice zone. It didn't take long for the target to make his purchase and start returning to his ship. JB reported the target's movements and began to make his way back to the scythe. Battle was about to begin.
He's going. Tell us when we can target him. He's gonna fucking know, isn't he? He's fucked off, where is he?
He's fucked off.
I don't see him.
Where is he?
He's gone.
What do you want about?
See him. I didn't see him take off, dude. What the fuck?
Get in there. Where's your QED? You're lucky that you're on Microtech.
No.
Don't let him jump. I'm 3 kilometers out.
QED?
What range do I need to be?
I don't know.
What range do I need to
Any
be?
second.
Come on, mate.
Right, engage. If you can. Yeah, go. Fury.
Where's the QED?
Fury, you're not fighting.
Shooting. It's not shooting.
It's not shooting.
Are you turned on?
They're lucky this
Yeah,
target's engaging.
Is distorted.
Throughout this engagement, Fury was unable to activate his weapons. This was his first time in the Scorpius and was learning on the job.
But I haven't said if it's a Scorpius Antares or a fucking regular Scorpius. And when you say Scorpius, it normally means the one with a fucking turret, which means that you don't have a QED. And yeah, like, I don't think there's a QED here.
We're still out shooting, dude.
I can't shoot.
JB was conscious that he didn't want to damage the Cutty Black too much as he wanted to observe the devastating effects of the Distortion Scorpius. Those effects didn't take very long to materialise as the Cutty Black lost all power to its engine systems and started to fall uncontrollably to the ground.
I blew up. Oh, there was cargo in there, dude.
Yeah, there's some cargo.
Orny, are you far away?
Following the successful engagement, which showcased the devastating effects of the distortion weapons, JB landed to assess the situation and to provide Ornith Drake with a target marker for his quantum jump so he could collect the newly acquired cargo.
And is it gold? It seems gold, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Do you mind, JB, if I take the site?
Ornith Drake arrived in his newly acquired Mercury Star.
That is a Scorpius, a regular Scorpius. They have no QED. They are literally, the reason why they got this target was luck.
Star Runner,
Right,
which is a great ship, and in JB's opinion, is almost as good as the Drake Corsair.
What
Pookie
is up
arrived
with
with
these
an
camera
Andromeda,
angles?
just in case the next target needed a little more firepower to intercept.
Let it come down upside down in a tree.
You did perfectly fine.
JB gave Pookie back his Scorpion and then provided overwatch for the Verse Capo crew, whilst they loaded up the Mercury Star Runner.
Didn't get squished.
Yeah, that's fine, dude. Touchdown. Come on. Just land it. Alright, there you go. Don't forget to turn the engines off.
The crew had a few problems with the tractor beam in the windy, snowy weather, but managed to complete their task.
Hey, don't blow my ship up.
Whilst Pookie,
Hey, don't blow
Fury
my
and
ship up.
Ornoth finished loading up the Mercury Star Runner with their ill-gotten gains, JB headed back to the SMO 18 outpost to observe the situation and report on any other incoming targets of interest. If you enjoyed this content, and you think we deserve it, please consider supporting this channel by liking and subscribing so you never miss an episode and you give us the motivation to keep on making content for you to enjoy.
That was certainly a video. Piracy really went mainstream, it seems. Yeah, Telva, you go away on a break and fucking everything goes to shit. Pop piracy. Oh, man. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. The thing is it's the current flavor of the month. Good video though, not good piracy video. What do you want about, Telva? I think they need to work on it. They need to work on their storytelling a bit. They gave a lot of exposition there. Somebody pointed it out. Useless exposition, yeah. They gave a lot of exposition there that really didn't fucking matter. Is third party pirating going to be a thing? Imagine, dude, we've already done it before. Not in 3.18 or 19. Well, actually, no. Some of our EU guys did encounter another pirate crew and just fucking stomped them and took their target from them. Yeah, it was quite funny actually when I heard about it. We've fought Chaos Squad for a target before. That was fun. But yeah, like it really comes down to time and place because you have to find a target at the same time that another pirate crew finds one, or you have to come across a pirate crew that's processing a target, so they're moving all the boxes, which is a lot more difficult than what you probably think. What happened today with Burks and Avenger 1? They joined forces though? Lame. How shit. Fort Cutlet crew once. Actually, yeah, Telva. I remember hearing about that too. Honestly, whenever it happens, it's mainly just like it just stops being about the piracy hit and just starts being about the fight. People do it because it's fun. Yeah, that is a problem there, Liv. Like if you don't have the numbers, you are going to just get rolled. Not proud about how we went about it, but we got the prize. Hey, it's all about the prize. Eyes on the prize. That's what it's about. But yeah, fucking hell, lame. A1 and Burks decided to team up instead of duking it out for the fucking prize. Boring. I wouldn't even care if I was going to lose. I'd still try. Alright. We've got one more video. One more video. Casual pirates. Tourist pirates. Tourists, that's what they are. Alright, this is the last video, guys. There wasn't a prize yet, they ran across each other scouting. That's still lame. I'd be trying to shadow them. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna shadow this guy. Oh, they found a target? Sweet. Guess what, guys? We found a target. We just gotta wait for these guys to do all the hard part. Some would argue Four Fighters loss for a single vulture wasn't good. Yeah, it wouldn't be a good exchange, but if it was a fun fight, I wouldn't be bothered. Alright, last video, guys. Punching through these videos real quick. Server meshing. Server meshing is the reckoning for pirates. And if you're not ready for it, your org's gonna crumble. Alright, gonna watch the last video here. So this one is Star Citizen Best Ship for Ramming by Wicked Wookie.
Oh, that was a rough landing. This must be a place.
This must be a place.
You there, are you Scooter?
Yes, sir. How can I help you?
I'm in need of the most diabolical ship that you have.
Diabolical?
Diabolical.
My Mimo, she's got a touch of that diabetes. I think we still got a Cuddy Red somewhere.
No. Diabolical. Evil. Menacing. Something I can do the most unforgivable thing in.
Oh, like putting pickles on a peanut butter sandwich?
No. Pad ram.
Pad ram? Oh, let me see. Pad ram. Pad ram. Oh, I got this freelancer over here. Yes, sir. Now, this is a pad ramming machine. Look at here. That there is high-impact absorbent torpedo bumpers. Now, won't you go ahead and climb on up in there? Yeah, boy, that looks good on you. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. This will do nicely.
All right, now you tell your friends.
Yes, I shall unleash my fury onto the Stanton system.
Hey, Billy, watch this. We got a pad rammer.
Wait, what's this?
All right, y'all ready to go get some lunch?
Oh, mate.
Maybe some double dogs?
This guy must have taken inspiration from that fucking Reddit post. Good old Scooter, though. That was a really quick one. I watched like the first, I think it was 10 seconds of it when Scooter showed up, and I'm like, yeah, I need to react to this one. Oh, God. I don't think pirates are ever going to get away from that pretty image from across the community that they're all like, what was it, edgelords, dim-witted, bloody, you know, one chromosome higher than a fucking NPC. Purely because bloody space dads need that bloody, need someone to punch down on to make themselves feel good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this stream, guys. I have to, I'm gonna have to cut it, or finish off for the day. In about an hour, I gotta go get ready to pick my kids up from school. Your favorite is when they tell you to touch grass, like they're not sitting on hemorrhoids. Oh, mate. But yeah, so I mentioned last week that I was going to be looking at doing streaming on my personal YouTube channel, and Friday is when I'm looking at doing it. Streaming some piracy ops with the auxiliaries, and pretty much whoever shows up. No, too bad, Telva. You need to go to bed, alright? You need to go to sleep. Okay, you got big, more important things to do than sit here and watch me. It's the middle of the day, and I'm going to go eat lunch anyway. Link my personal YouTube channel. Let me see. Let me grab it. It should just be Agens Letty. Where are we? I don't like how YouTube has changed all this shit. I don't know about you guys, but I actually had YouTube change a whole bunch of stuff on me for the UI. Alright, that's my personal YouTube channel there. Yeah, I will put a notice out. I've got some technical issues that I need to sort out, mainly with scene switching, because I'll be using a streaming PC as well. But it'll actually be around the time that I'm doing ops with the auxiliaries, so it'll be 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, GMT plus 10. So 9:30 AM UTC plus 0. Yeah, I'll be streaming there. We'll be doing some piracy ops, seeing what we can find. As I said last week during the reaction stream, I'll be doing some piracy ops, but I'll also be looking at doing other gameplay as well. So eventually I'll be I do plan on streaming on other days as well, and I'll be looking at doing, you know, smuggling ops into prison, maybe some fucking cargo hauling, salvaging, you know, doing a lot more, a lot wider range of Star Citizen content. And the main reason is to actually promote the different organizations in the Mongrel Corps, so that we can actually build up their numbers as well. But yeah, that's it from me, guys. Next stream will be on Friday, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, GMT plus 10, on my personal YouTube channel. So I'll catch you all then. Do cargo hauling with a sperm suit without any security. I will 100% do that, and I'll make sure that I announce in global chat exactly where I am, what I'm doing, how much cargo I've got, and that I have no escorts with me, so that they can all try and pirate me. Alright guys, thanks for coming along. I'll catch you all later.